So my F80 M3 here, I absolutely love this car, and I actually recently sold it, right? The guy that I sold it to had it for a few days and then noticed that I had an Audi RS3 in stock, and he called me up and he's like, "Cav, can I part exchange my M3 back in and buy the RS3 off you?" So I done a deal with him and it is now back in my life. He did manage to curb a couple of wheels in the few days that he had it, bit annoying that. I've just had the wheels refurbed and I thought, I was just driving it down the road and I thought I'd do a video talking about, I suppose, things that I dislike about this car and talk about what it's like to daily drive an F80 M3 Competition. Right then, the murdered out 2017 F80 M3 Competition. Now, I've had a lot of people tell me to do content on this car because, you know, I've done one video on this car and it deserves a few more spots on my channel because a car is just about to park next to me. I'll let him park. All right, mate. Is that where he's going? Yeah. Yeah, it does happen a lot. Yeah. Glider going up in the sky there. Right, we have more distractions. Yep, this is going brilliantly today. Yeah, so it does deserve a spot on my channel. I think that's what I was saying. It's a brilliant car. I sold it, bought it back a few days later, and yeah, I mentioned that in the time that it was out with its new owner, he managed to curb the wheels. I've had them refurbed, it's looking good, bar the dirt. It does need a bloody good clean, admittedly, but I have been daily driving it since the M6 went up for sale, and you know what, I love it. I absolutely love it. I've got an urge to tune it. I've got a bug to tune it. It is up for sale though, so it might sell again. We'll see, right? So before it sells, if it does sell anytime soon, I thought I'll do a video talking about sort of pros and cons. And because I am daily driving it, I've become to sort of know this car a little bit more. And as we wander around it, first things first is I love a car with wide arches. Yeah, I say that all the time, but this car has suffered badly with stone chips on that corner there, because I suppose because it sits proud. But would I sacrifice wide arches for no stone chips? Definitely not. I'd rather just get my arches repainted every few years for the sake of having them wonderful looking rear arches. As we come around the front, yeah, you're just going to struggle to find anything wrong with this car visually. Mate, he's getting some photos. Be fair, that's it's a lovely place to get photos. So do you know what, let's just hit the road, yeah? I do struggle a bit when I'm getting distracted. Like, there's too many people, too much going on there, and I'm like it with everything in life. I just like to zone out and crack on, man. So yeah, F80 M3. There isn't much negative I can tell you about this car, but a few things that I suppose this car hasn't got that maybe the M6 has got, but then on the flip side, this has got stuff that maybe that doesn't have, as far as the daily car is concerned. So, four main things I look at when I'm buying a car for myself are character. Yeah, character is such an important thing. Drivability, that's also very important. Value for money is the third most important thing, and then finally purpose. Yeah, they're four very important things. If a car is ticking every single one of them boxes, then that car has got me fully on side. And this car does actually tick every single one of them boxes. Character, this car's got stacks of character. From every angle you look at this car, the bonnet bulge, the bloody wide arches, the interior, like the seats, the competition seats got holes in them as well. The M-coloured stitching on the steering wheel, the aircon that I need to turn on, because it is boiling in there. The big bloody mirrors that almost look wrong, they're so bold. The sound, a lot of people criticise the sound, that's a good thing to touch on. The induction sound is something that definitely gets overlooked. The noise that you're getting from under the bonnet of this car is so good, man. And when you're inside of the car, you rarely hear exhaust note. As much as I don't actually dislike it that much, I know a lot of people do. But forget the exhaust note. When you're driving this car, and I'm going to remind you that it is in stock form, it just sounds so bloody bloody good. It just roars, man. And that brings me on to the next point, yeah? So the second point after character is drivability. This car, I'm flat on the throttle all the time. You can drive this car as hard as you like, and you know, I suppose it will catch you out, but it's not too fast. It's not scary. It's just on that little sort of borderline of being dangerous, and gives you as the driver so much confidence. You just want to drive it hard because you know you're on top of the car is not on top of you. And if you cane the arse out of my M6, trust me, that car is on top of you. You've got to be fully on top of your game when you're driving that car hard, because it has got too much power, fuel light. So drivability is exactly what this car offers. It's such a nimble thing to drive, so easy to drive, and every time I drive it, I do drive it hard, and I do it comfortably. Now we are stuck behind a little car with a trailer, is it? With loads of straw all over. It doesn't matter because my car's already dirty, it's throwing loads of stuff all over me. But anyway, the next point, or the next factor when you're buying your own car, is value for money. It's such an important factor, and it's very hard to find a car that is good value for money, that does tick all of the boxes. And the RS3 is an example. One of my biggest criticisms with that car was the fact that it's not good value for money. That's not an opinion. That they are a hell of a lot of money for what they are, but they are an amazing car. I want to make that very, very clear. An Audi RS3 is an amazing car, but in comparison, an F80 M3 Competition for the same money, I think it just offers so much more. So I think value for money is definitely a box that this car ticks. And not just that, for the amount of money, there isn't much else you can get that does what this car does. And that is definitely a problem that I'm currently having with trying to find my next car, because I'd happily just go down the boring route and buy another F80 M3 and say this is my new car. That might happen, but I do really want to try and mix it up. So it might not happen. Oh, thank you, can let me go. Thank you very much. On the throttle constantly, and I get no drama from the rear wheels. A little bit on the bends, you've got to be a little bit careful. You notice as I pulled out there in first gear, it is a bit erratic, but it's not. Can I go this way? I'm pretty sure I can go this way. It's not too much. Like, it's so enjoyable. The M6 is a big wide car, talking about what the M6 doesn't have, that this does have. This does feel a lot more sort of narrow, I suppose, a lot easier to just sort of throw around. It feels a lot lighter, it feels just generally a lot easier to drive, whereas the M6, it's fat, it's wide, it's a Grand Tourer, I suppose, so it's gonna, it does serve a different purpose, which brings me to the next point of the video, purpose, right? The purpose of this car is it's a 4-door saloon. It's got a big boot, it's not too big, it's not too small. You know, you could drive it as a family car, you could drive it, your missus could drive it. I'm talking to you like you're all men. I do have about 5% women out there. You could drive it, or your boyfriend could drive it if you're a female, or if you're we won't go into that. And it is the type of car that, you know, it does suit a lot of purposes. That's why, probably why, the M3s have held their money slightly better than the M4s have, because they've got a couple of extra doors. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't have an M4. I say that a lot in videos, because because of the purpose of the car. I'd much rather have an M3. And do you know what? I slightly prefer the look of an M3. Now, you have probably come here because you want to know what the downfalls are with this car. What are the negatives with this car? And to show you one of the negatives, I need to move on to a slightly better road. That's better. So basically, the turbos seem to run out of steam right at the top end of the rev range, which is, it's a little bit frustrating. Now, I have obviously been daily driving my M6, and that car, the range on the turbos on that car is just, they're just unbelievable. They deliver power the whole way through, and even at the top end of the rev range, it's actually quite scary, man, how powerful that car is. But with this car, like now you'd be in a high gear, you put your foot down, it just doesn't give you much. Now that could be down to the fact that they're just, the nature of the turbos, they just don't have a wide range of power. or it could just be the fact that the car needs tuning, right? Either or, I'm not sure, but when you buy one of these cars in stock form, that is a bit annoying, and it is making me really want to tune this car. Now the funny thing is, I've done a video on Ricky's car recently. He had the Super M4, right? And that was hybrid turbos, so it changed the turbos for hybrid turbos, meth injected, and it was running at 700 brake horsepower. That car had the opposite problem, where it had no low end boost and lots of high end boost, like ridiculous amount. And that was also a bit annoying. It's very difficult to find a car that has delivery the whole way through, or say, should I say turbos that has delivery the whole way through. But strangely, my M6 does offer that. But I would be very curious to see what this is like to drive after it had been tuned. And that brings me on to my next negative as I step on the brakes. The brakes on this car are nowhere near as good as the brakes on my M6. Like, it's night and day difference. When you stamp on the brakes on my M6, it bloody stops the car. They are brutal, the brakes on that car. Whereas M3 brakes, I think it's quite a known thing. It's also a bit annoying. What, like a lorry overtaking another lorry takes miles for them to get past each other. Like, is this? Yeah, but that's it. He's going out of the way now. But yeah, it is definitely a known fact with M3s. Not just this M3, but every M3 ever made. The brakes ain't amazing. They're okay, but they could definitely do with being upgraded. And then another little niggling thing is the infotainment system, right? I absolutely love it, but I pair up my phone and I listen to music via my YouTube app, right? I've got YouTube music on my phone. Sometimes it will allow me to flick through tracks using the, you know, like the toggle thing down there, but then other times it just won't work. Like sometimes I'll get in my car and I'll press that and it just won't work, and there is no logic there. Every now and then it just decides itself whether it wants to work or not. So basically, in a nutshell, the four issues are the rear wide arches, which I wouldn't change, the turbos, which you could probably sort out by a simple remap. The third thing was the brakes, which I suppose that's an expensive upgrade. And then the fourth and final thing is the bloody infotainment system. That's it. But that aside, they are probably, I think I said this earlier in the video, probably the best all-rounder currently on the car market. And yeah, puts me in a bit of a situation. I'm going to leave it as that. Thank you very much for watching. It was just a video that I felt like was needed. I was on my journey to work today in the M3. A few people said get more videos on it. There's a little video. So I hope you liked the video. If you did like this video, hit like. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe for a new video every Wednesday and Sunday at 6 o'clock. And give me a follow on Instagram at Calvin's Car Diary. And I'll see you in my next video. Alright? Bye. In the next episode of Diary of a Car Trader, I've bought another car, but this car is a car that I've never actually owned before, and it's not just quite exciting, it is also very interesting. That video is going to be live on Sunday at 6 o'clock.